So, folks, one of the things I wanted to talk about today is Graham Platner. Specifically, I've been keeping an eye on the race. Haven't been talking about it very much publicly, but I've been keeping an eye on the race. And, folks, Janet Mills isn't going to beat Graham Platner. The polling that is coming out is real bad for Janet Mills, number one. So, seems to be that in Maine, the whole tattoo issue has not actually held him back. And I was wondering how the electorate would kind of respond to this. And about a week or two ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, Graham Platner was confronted by a woman at one of his town halls about his comments online, about his different stances, about, like she confronted him, no doubt about it, and he responded. But more importantly than that, I wanted to know kind of like what the aftermath of that would be, right? So we didn't cover that confrontation because I wanted to see kind of like what's the fallout going to be. And a video went up on the Majority Report about a day ago where the woman who confronted Graham Platner put out an additional statement to the Majority Report. And I figure we'll take a look here at what she had to say, and we'll talk about it.
And so just play to refresh people's minds just a little bit of this question.
The day that the Reddit post dropped, my heart sank. Particularly for one reason. Your comments on sexual assault victims cut deep. I am a survivor. My story is remarkably similar to the one that you outlined in that comment. I never shared my story. I never reported it. And I didn't because I knew I would be defending myself against that mentality. For more than 20 years, I have never spoken of it until today. I have consumed every interview you have done since. To the point where it's pretty creepy, honestly. But I realize that what I am seeking is a sign of true growth and understanding of how harmful that mentality has been. Of an expression of true remorse for ever thinking that it would ever be anybody's fault that someone else violated them so egregiously. So I'm asking right now, can you look me in the face as a survivor and offer me more than just shallow words?
Yeah, again, context for this. Woman confronts Graham Platner at one of his town halls about his comments, specifically about sexual assault in the military. She went to this town hall and revealed for the first time that she had been the victim of sexual assault. And wanted to know, like, where he stands on it. This is a pretty powerful confrontation.
I am sorry. I am sorry because I certainly, at earlier points in my life, held opinions that I do not hold now. When I made that comment 13 years ago, I had come out of the infantry, and I had a, frankly, myopic worldview on this issue.
Okay, and he went on, and we played that audio. I guess we played it about 2 weeks ago.
Can I play the... Let me grab the full response here. Have to rely on the Majority
Let's check
Report.
in with Graham Platner.
I'm sorry. I am sorry because I certainly, at earlier points in my life, held opinions that I do not hold now. When I made that comment 13 years ago, I had come out of the infantry, and I had a, frankly, myopic worldview on this issue. In the years since, I have become very close friends with many women, veterans and non-veterans, who all have stories. And through those relationships, I have very much begun to, well, not just understand, but I firmly believe sexual assault is not a matter of decisions people make. It's a matter of power. It's a matter of who has power and who wants to impose it on someone else. It is never the responsibility of the person who's been imposed upon. It is always the abuser. It is always the person with power who is responsible. I do not believe now, and have not a long time, that it's the responsibility of people, of those who get assaulted. But I had to learn that. I had to learn that through relationships I built. And I had to learn that through friends who told me stories, very brutal ones. And I have learned that. I also fully recognize that as I continue moving forward in my life, because of who I am, because of the life that I've lived, I will have blinders on that I'm unaware of. And it is incredibly important to me to develop relationships with people who can tell me and show me and let me know where I'm falling and let me know where I'm failing. I am sorry for the things I used to say, for the jokes I used to make. I have no excuse for it. I will say that in the time since, in the intervening years, I've developed a very different opinion on this. And moving forward, I would very much like to continue getting that input, because I don't think of myself as a fully formed human being. I don't think anybody ever will be. And if anybody thinks they are, we should probably not trust them.
He doesn't say what he changed. He literally just explained what he changed.
The only thing more than this response
Luke, take a break. You're too high.
The only thing more than this response that I'd want is a plan of action to educate people and make sure toxic opinions like that can no longer form.
I mean, I think that's basically what he stated, that he wanted to continue evolving his views, wanted to continue embracing better policy. But what I'm more concerned about here is, how does the victim of sexual assault respond? Because, like, I think that means, I think that means a lot. I think saying to a victim of sexual assault, like, I have no excuse for the things I said. I was wrong. I think that is a good apology. But more so than that, it matters if he's actually changed. Is the apology accepted? That's where we get here.
And shortly after that, we got an email. I've been meaning to read this for a week or two. I'm not going to give her name. I imagine
Did he say I was wrong? Yes.
People up in Maine know, who she is. I don't know if they've written stories about it, but I suspect, but I'm not going to. 4 days ago, the crew shared the audio recording of a woman confronting Graham at a town hall. Hi, it's me. I'm the woman. The audio doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't share what happened after the conclusion of the town hall. It doesn't share the numerous people that formed a line to thank me for doing the hard but necessary thing and compliment my bravery, which is wild to me. I didn't have a plan to share my darkest secret with a room full of a few hundred strangers. I had forgotten they were even present. The audio doesn't share that Graham and I spoke privately after the town hall. While I won't share the exact details of that conversation, I do feel that I am finally appropriately processing the assault. The campaign has contacted me since to check in on how I'm doing and offer any support they can provide, and made it clear that they see this as my story, that they want to handle it with absolute sensitivity and respect. It's fair to say that I no longer have any doubts on Graham's genuineness, and if I could share what I have experienced with anyone questioning his authenticity, I feel their doubts would ease as well. I feel safe with Graham both as a person and to be the next elected official to represent me in the state of Maine. Being human is hard, and so is giving grace. take care.
Look, that I don't know about you guys. That carries a lot of weight for me. I think it speaks well of the campaign and well of Graham Platner that he took time to step aside and talk to this woman. I think it speaks well of the campaign and the decision making to reach out to her and like make sure she's okay and getting the help and support she needs. I think that this is good. And I think that stuff like this is why he is gaining ground in like the upcoming political race. And I think that of all the folks who could judge him on his past comments and positions, like someone who's experienced sexual assault, directly confronting him and directly experiencing how this campaign responds to that in earnest, coming out and saying, "Hey, I think he's the real deal." That carries a lot of weight for me. And I'm not gonna say, well, everyone needs to be 100% Graham Platner's corner now. You're allowed to dislike him. That is fine. It is okay to dislike politicians. It's okay to dislike people in general. But I think that this campaign seems like it has coalesced around a man who, at the very least, is doing the right things now. And I'm not going to ask anyone to like have a perfectly acceptable taste in their mouth about that because people are complicated. But I don't know, this carries a fuck ton of weight with me. Carries a lot of weight with me. The audio is terrible, so you may need to include the text. I mean, the text was on screen. There are subtitles. He took ownership of what was said, but it's the follow through that matters. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I have said that it matters what he does. You know, like he's been saying all the right words, but like, what does he do? And I don't know. I think that what he did at least in this circumstance, bears him out so far. Obviously, it's a very small data point, but we are going into an election cycle, and like the data points we have are the data points we have. So all I'm saying is it does not look like Janet Mills is going to pull this off. Because again, the latest polling, let's just take a look. Yeah. I am confused by the latest polling, considering that Graham Platner has been crushing Janet Mills by like more than double digits in all of the primary polling I've seen to date. So I'm a bit skeptical of certain new polling that shows her ahead by 10. I haven't seen anything from her campaign that would indicate that she has pulled ahead by 10 points. Yeah, I don't believe that there has been a 30-point swing, so I think the latest poll from the Mills campaign might be a bit bogus. Yeah, we now have two different polling sets, so I'm guessing that the muddy waters are being set up deliberately. So I think that we are in for a lot of interesting tomfoolery in this race, to say the least. Yeah, okay. So the new poll that says she's ahead is among likely Democratic primary voters, according to the poll, like, criteria.
Suspicious polls indeed. Where are the strippers?
And Graham Platner is banking on people who are unlikely Democratic primary voters. So that would probably account for the differences in the poll. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how this all goes, as it were. Knitting Cult Lady. I don't know who Knitting Cult Lady is, but I think it is entirely plausible that a drunk Marine in Croatia might get a tattoo like that. Like, especially if you're in the military and you're young and you're not asking questions about the, you know, the skull that you guys are getting tattooed on your bodies at 19. So I find it plausible, but what I find more important is what he does in the here and now. And what he's doing in the here and now seems to be good enough for survivors of sexual assault, and it seems to be good enough for the people in Maine who are actually going to be voting for him. So those two things, I think, are meaningful data points. With all that being said, I think we'll talk a bit more about Graham Platner as we get closer to the primary. We'll be talking more about this race. We'll be taking a look at how this is shaken out. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. So with that being said, you got anything out of this, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, especially comment. The comments are really helpful. And also, remember, go radicalize your local Dems. Go join your local DSA and make them more effective. If you need help doing so, join our Discord. Reach out to Gamergy for help with DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. And let's make this happen. With that, also check out ImogeneOlivia.com. My partner launched lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. And we also tested it with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks, anyone who wants to feel femme, and the reviews are very positive. So please check it out if you feel so inclined. It's also the holiday season, so might be getting it for your special someone. And yeah, link down in the doobly-doo. With that being said, let's keep going.
Riverboat Deck is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.